I'm Bindu Balakrishnan, project manager for our EU project, and I have Mr. Tyagarajan, our chief manager, with us. As you know, under TREC-STEP's European Union supported project for gender enabling network of innovation and entrepreneurship CSOs, we have been organizing many similar training programs and webinars in 8 states. So this is our next webinar to support CSOs to access CSR funding. We have a very special resource person with us today, Professor Dr. Dipak Tatpuje. He has over actually 4 years of experience in experiential education, project consultancy, and research projects. He has done many national and international developing projects, especially in youth empowerment. He has done 17 international projects with UNESCO, UNDP, Commonwealth, Association of Science, Technology, Mathematics, Swiss agency. It's very interesting. And he's also a serial social entrepreneur. He has founded 2 Satara-based CSOs so far. And he's a PhD doctoral degree holder in management. And he's also a Google certified innovator, Microsoft Innovative Education Trainer, Google Applied Skills Ambassador, and he's an expert with UNESCO Inclusive Policy Lab. Dr. Tatpuje is currently a mentor at Miller Center, Santa Clara University. He provides executive mentorship to social entrepreneurs at Miller Center Global Social Benefit Institute and also at Global YSC Global Business Clinic, Singapore. Prior to that, Dr. Tatpuje was heading the research projects wing at Symbiosis International University. So we are very glad to welcome you, sir, to this webinar. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Bindu ma'am, Tyagarajan sir, and all the CSO functionaries attended this webinar. In this webinar, we are giving the information about the CSR funding trends and the various processes. The specific details that we are giving are related to that of what operations that we need to carry out, what precautions that we need to take care of, and how the CSR funding is trending in India to the various CSOs. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide, please.
Usha, can you go to next slide?
Yeah, so corporate social responsibility is of course use funding by the companies. It also gives the grants to the non-profit organizations, CSOs, of course, to get the financial and other support from the corporate sector. Under the Companies Act 2013, it is a mandatory provision to provide a contribution of 2% of the average net of profit of the companies to the NGOs. It means that there is a wide scope to get the funding from the companies to the NGOs for the various projects and social relevant activities that we need to carry out in our non-profit organization. Next slide, please. Yeah, so as we know, our EU-India Gini CSO project is in the 8 states. So while presenting the details, I am going to cover the exact situation of the amount spent in these states in last 5 years or 6 years based upon the data available from the CSR portal, and accordingly we are going to strategize about the details to get the various aspects. I am going to consider the aspects for applying the funding to the various companies under the CSR. So next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the CSR data from the government. And if we are going to see the CSR amount spent in course of rupees from 2014-15, this is the financial year, to 2020-21. If we are going to see, then with these 8 states, Maharashtra bags the highest CSR funding, which is around uh, uh, 1,800 crores, whereas next to that, Karnataka and Gujarat bags the funding around 7,000 and 6,000 crores. After to that, Tamil Nadu gets about the 5,000 crores, and later on, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh is equally bagging around the 3,000 crores. West Bengal is about 2,000 crores fund, and the Kerala is about the 1,500. If we are going to see this data, then it seems that the most of the amount is spent over the last 7 years uh, in the Maharashtra, whereas very less amount is spent by the NGOs in Kerala. Based upon this data uh, and the funding given by the companies to the various projects and sectors that has been identified by CSR, we can strategize the process of applying the CSR funds to the various companies. So for that purpose, I have given this data in this slide. Yeah, next slide, please. So if we are going to see, according to the uh, uh, these CSR provisions done by the Government of India, the sectors covered are here, uh, which is related to that of the rural development. Then, of course, encouraging the sports. The third sector is about AOF. It means it is taken and considered as any other fund. Then the next one is the about the GWOR, which is specific to that of the gender equity, women empowerment, old age homes, and reducing inequalities. ESC is a specific related to that of the uh, environment, animal welfare, and conservation. About the Clean Ganga project is also there. Then Swachh Bharat, slum development, healthcare, and related to that of the others, they defined various sectors under which the companies are supposed to give the fund to the NGOs. If we are going to consider about our Trextep Genie project, then we need to highlight for the sectors which are related to that of the GWOR, EAC, and technology incubator and benefit to the armed forces. It is combined actually, but we are going to consider it in the technology incubator. If we are going to consider, these are the uh, separate sectors identified under the CSR. uh, we need to strategize as well as we need to design the CSR proposal according to the various sectors given by the uh, uh, under the CSR. So, knowing the development sectors to which the CSR funding is available is very important as far as the primary activity to design the proposal is supposed to consider. Yeah, next slide, please. Then, if we are going to see about the year-wise amount spent under the CSR funding, then uh, the trending is that way looks about in increasing way. And uh,
Kripa.
whenever we think about the year as well as the amount spent, total amount spent over the uh, 14 sectors that we have been covered, then data shows that uh, next to Maharashtra, uh, Uttar Pradesh, even though amount is less, the trending is somehow increasing. So whenever we get the data related to the our state and the status related to that of the amount spent over the test, we will be in position to strategize, deciding the sector, expertise, as well as the uh, various aspects which are directly related with the strength of organization. So, uh, even though we can make a statewide strategy uh, to select the sectors as well as for the designing of the project with the current trends in the international scenario. I am going to come on both points once we complete the primary and procedural information of the CSR funding. Yeah. Next slide, please. Uh, this is about the total 8 states that we are going to cover in the next step. And during the last 7 financial years, uh, what the amount spent by the various companies over the NGOs for various CSR activities that has been shown over here. Uh, there is one important aspect that I want to specify over here, and that is uh, when we are going to consider about the sectors and uh, the companies, those who are giving the CSR fund, they also gave the prioritization and, of course, the uh, various specific conditional mandates with the philanthropic base. So, if we are going to study those philanthropic base and other aspects, then that can be also useful to design the strategy for applying the funds. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah. So see that one trending with comparison of the CSR fund spent, if we are going to put it in the tags, then as Maharashtra bags top funding, next to that Gujarat, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are nearly equal and ranked second. Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh are nearly equal and ranks third. West Bengal is at fourth rank and Kerala is at a 50th rank. It means that the opportunity to bag the greater funds to those who get less during the past, and also the sectors which has not been covered by the various state NGOs. Uh, there is a one specific aspirational district program of the government of India, and government of India specified the aspirational districts in the various states. And whenever we are talking about the aspirational districts, then CSR and government funding is specifically given to those aspirational districts on priority. So, whenever we are strategizing and also we are thinking to apply for CSR funding to the various companies, if we are going to concentrate on the aspirational district, then there is a greater possibility of getting the funds within the minimum period of time, because aspirational district program has been specified over the number of years and number of tasks required to be completed within that time framework. So sectors, and if we are going to select the activities in the aspirational district, then that can be strategized by the different way. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so with this introductory process, we are coming now directly to that of the how we are going to make the CSR registration process for the CSOs. So, Ministry of Corporate Affairs has mandated the filling of CSR 1E form by the implementing entities intending to undertake the CSR activities for all the CSR projects with effective from 1st April 2021. Uh, Ministry of Corporate Affairs has announced that e-form of CSR1 is now available on the MCA portal, and all the stakeholders are required to file that form, and that needs to be submitted on the portal. It means that from 1st April 2021, if we want CSR funds from the companies, we need to make the CSR registration, and we need to fill up the CSR one form and need to upload on the portal. It means the complete process has been done online, and we are going to see what precautions that we need to take care of for the CSR registration and how to go ahead with that. Yeah, next slide, please. So, there are two types. The first one is the a company who gives the CSR fund or grants, and second one is the NGO or CSO who does the implementation of the research project. So, implementation agency and uh, uh, corporate. So these are the two terms are coming whenever we are going to talk about the discussion related to the CSR registration and all those aspects. Uh, Whenever we are going to uh, see about the various forms related with the Company Act for company and for the NGO, then kindly note that NGOs need to fill up only CSR1 form for to back the CSR funding from the various companies according to the amendment rules done in 2021. Yeah, please, next slide, please. Yeah, next slide, please.
Usha, next slide, please.
Yeah. So when we want to do the registration for CSR, the the very first one that the CSO or NGO must have the copy of the registration certificate. This copy of the registration certificate may be the uh, corporation of the company under 8 rule, which is for the non-profit, or it may be a registration of the certificate under the Indian Companies Registration Act, or it may be the registration under the Bombay Public Trust Act. So any one of these three registrations, any one of these three registrations that we need. Now, second one is that the uh, NGO must have the PAN number, permanent account number of the income tax, and that should be in the name of the CSO. That is very important, because many times we may find that the we may upload over there, or we may put the details of the chief functionaries PAN number of the IT, but that doesn't survive. The PAN number should be in the name of the CSO or NGO. Then we also need the PAN number of the director, chief functionary, or secretary of the organization, who is the contact person, or who is the chief functionary, or who is in uh, connect with the all these aspects. So that is also required. Then copy of the resolution authorizing the person by the entity with the resolution number and date of resolution. As you have the trust board, or you have a society registration board, or you may have the company board, then in that there should be a resolution which specifies that CSR registration and the activity should be taken care of by XYZ personality, and that resolution number and meeting number, those details should be along with that, along with the signed copy of the official, and digital signature of the person who is going to upload all these. So for CSR registration, we need at least these 5 documents, which is very important as far as starting of the uh, registration of the NGO for CSR funding is required. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so how the registration process with the MCA portal take place? See that one, of course, it is according to the rule 4/2 with the new company CSR amendment rule, as I told earlier. Uh, the, the very first one is every NGO who intends to take the CSR activities, they need to register itself uh, with the central government by filing the CSR1 form electronically with the registrar of the office. It means of the portal specified by the uh, government of India, and this rule 42 of the uh, Act 2021. Now, second one is the form CSR will be verified digitally by the chartered accountant in practice, or a company secretary in practice, or a cost accountant in practice. It means whenever we are going to upload the form, then whatever the form that we put for on the portal, that needs to be verified by the chartered accountant of your organization, or by company secretary who is in practice and cost account, any one of these three. So that is also mandatory. And the third one is on the submission of the CSR form on the portal, a unique CSR registration number will be generated on the system automatically. There is also a helpline number on the portal, and if we need some clarifications or if we stuck somewhere else, then that telephone number can be also used. But here it is important that verification at the local level uh, auditor or company secretary or the cost accountant, those who are in practice and those who have been registered under the uh, under that portal. So this is the 3-step process uh, uh, from uploading form towards the registration of the NGO for CSR funding. Okay, next one. Uh, See that one. I'm giving this information because in last 4 or 5 years, I'm doing the research projects and everything, and we did the registrations, such type of registrations not only for CSR but also for government funding and also for international funding. For international funding altogether, there are different ways and means, and also there are different portals related to the different countries. But whenever we are talk about the CSR registration, then we need to abide with the provisions. And as I told you earlier, these are the 3 implementation agencies who can do the CSR registration. As I told you earlier, of course, it should be a 8-section company, non-profit 8-section company. Second one is, of course, the public trust, and third one is society registered under the uh, Indian Societies Registration Act. Here, there are very 2 important aspects that one should understand. All these organizations need to have the 12A and 80G registration of the Income Tax Act, which is related to that of the society registered CSOs and for public trust. And uh, for a Section 8 company, there should be a 80G registration. Just please go on. 80G registration. It means company doesn't require 12A registration, but public trust and societies require 12A and 80G registrations that must you have in bag then and then only you are able to apply for the CSR registration. It means that along with the documents that I told earlier, uh, 12A registration from the income tax and ATG. What is about this 12A? 12A is specific from the income tax, is specific, gives the tax exemptions, and that exemption is in the form, if you back the rupees 100, and if you spend the 85 rupees, then the 15% amount can go in the reserve. And but if you back the 100 rupees, and if your expenses are 50 out of those one, then that remaining amount can be goes in the accumulated form with the provision of 12A. And ATG is specifically related to that of the donations that the CSOs receives, and a person who gives donation to that organization can get the exempted from the income tax. So these are the provisions related to that of, and the conditions which are related to that of the CSR registration. Okay, now next slide, please. Yeah, so uh, the first one, that we need to download the CSR form. I suggest you, when you want to apply for CSR funding, then, and if you are ready with all these documents, then at that time only you download the CSR form, because within 2 years there are many changes that gets over there in the form. So latest form download is very important, and www.mca.gov.in is one of the site from which we can download the CSR1 form. So how it can be that and how the process goes further, that I am going to show over here with the actual screenshots of the portal, because uh, this webinar gives the, not only gives the information, but actual hand holding is very important, and that can be possible only by through the procedural steps. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so see that one. When we click on the uh, MCA services of that portal, then you see that from the uh, right side, you get the forms and download option in the MCA services of the MCA portal, which is circulated in a blue circle. And when we click on the forms and downloads of e-filing, then we get the screen which shows that the uh, CSR activity related forms, and we get the uh, e-form with the information, and e-form only with the e-form. So whenever we are going to click on both the links, you can get the downloading of the forms. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is about the CSR form, and if we are going to see the CSR form, then in the CSR form, uh, CSR1 form, uh, we need to fill up the nature of entity, and here they have specifically put the uh, four options to that. The first one is for the 8 section company, or company with 12A and 12A registration, then public trust with 12A and ATG, then registered society with 12A and ATG, then company established under the section 8 company, and uh, entity established under the Act of Parliament, state and legislatures. See that when there are few organizations which has been registered as a registered society or trust. So those entities can be also there. Then second, whether the entity is established by a company or a group of company. If your CSO is not established by company or it is established by the group of persons, then put it over there. No. If yes, then if it is established by company, then you need to get the details of the CIN of the company, then prefill, add name of the company, and also uh, the track record of the company in last 3 years. So these are the 2 points uh, which are related to that of the documents and the information that we need to upload for the CSR1 registration. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the page number 2 and 3 of the CSR form, uh, which shows that we need to fill up the details related to the existing entity, CIN or registration number. Of course, it is a prefill. If we are going to put the click on the prefill, then that can be also cross-checked. Then address of the company and all these things are supposed to be covered with the point number 3 with the email ID of the entity. uh, Enter the OTP of email ID and PAN of the entity. See that one. Whenever we are going to put over here the email ID, then after putting the email ID, you need to uh, click on the send OTP. It means within the form, there is a specific verification system that has been incorporated. So, in that way, uh, uh, entity and email ID can get verified with the getting the OTP. Then details of the director, board of trustees, chairman, CEO, secretary of the authorized representative, and those details should be put in the table as given over there based upon the constitution of your organization. You have to put all these things, not necessarily the points which are director, board of trustees, not related to it, because in some trust there may be a principal director and he is supposed to be the uh, chief functionary of the organization, not related with the other aspect. Then those can be taken care of over there. Then in the next related to the attachment, you have to upload the copy of certificate of registration and the copy of the PAN of the entity. And then there is a declaration uh, that you have to put the in the declaration you have to put the resolution number, uh, 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 that is the number of the whatever the proceedings that you have prepared for the CSR registration in the meeting of your trust. Then dated that resolution you have to put, and you have to sign by digitally. It means the declaration is supposed to be verified and signed by the digital signature of the chief functionary who is going to do the or who is going to fill up the CSR form. So while we are going to look into this form, then ultimately we see that at every stage of filling the form, there is a verification. So uh, till this we verified the details entered by the digital signature of the person, and after that certificate given by the practicing professional. As we cover the point, it may be a chartered accountant, it may be the cost accountant, or it may be a practicing company secretary who is then going to certify the details entered over there. It means this two-way verification is done, is available over the uh, uploading the CSR form. Next slide, please. Yeah. Then now this is the fourth and uh, fifth page of the CSR form. So see that one, as I told you earlier, verification is done by the, see, there are the points, chartered accountant, company secretary, or cost accountant. Of course, those should be the practicing one. Then whether the association or fellow membership uh, is there or not. So associate or fellow, that those numbers of should be put over there, whether he is associate or fellow. If we need to make the any modifications or checking of the form, then there are four tabs. One is modify, of course, check form, then pre-scrutiny form, and submit. So these tabs can are there, which can be done, of course, at your level, and then only you can make the submit button. So first, if you want you want to do any modifications, put on the modify. Again, you are going back to that first page. Check the form. It shows the scrolling in the pane of the uh, browser. Uh, pre-scrutiny can be done at your way, and you have to submit the form. So uh, this is the process uh, by which we can fill up the form. Next slide, please. Yeah, see that one. Uh, to upload the CSR form, I have given this specific link to you. So see that one. So it should be done. I have filled the form uh, in a download way on the hard copy, and now I want to upload it on the portal. So then this is the link. Once I click over that link, you get this message. If you are a professional, please register as a business user using membership number and PAN. It means that uh, for download, you need not to register with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. But once I download the form, and if I prepared the details on the hard copy as per the requirement on the uploaded portal, then during that process, first of all, I need to make the registration, and that registration can be done on this on this link. So uh, and to make that registration, you need one important thing, that PAN number is there. So if you are director, designated partner, please register as a business user. If you are company LLP, please register as a business user. If you are manager, secretary, authorized representative officer in default, please register as a business user. It means on this portal, you need to register as a business user. That is very important uh, because there are two categories to get registered for login. One is business user and second one is practicing professional. Practicing professionals are different. As I told you earlier, uh, CA, chartered accountant, company secretary, those are the practitioner professors. But we are making the registration by the business user, so we need to do that. Uh, Next slide, please. Yeah. So whenever we registered as a business user, then screen is looking like this, and uh, in user category, you are going to select the business user. After that, you need to click on the user role. What user role is there? So you click over there, and of course, you have to put the PAN number of the income tax of the business user. So the screen is looking like this. Next slide, please. So after sign in, upload process, what is the process of uploading the CSR one? So these are the steps which is given over there. Applicant needs to access the official website of the CSR one by login that I told you already. After login the portal, enter the valid CIN number of the for the cancellation and unused share of one class, or increase the share capital if it is related to that of the section 8 company. Select the purpose of the e-form and drop down menu select the case of others as selected and specified in the description box. See that one. The whole portal is the interactive one, and it gives a pull up and pull down menus, and depending on those menus only you need to carry out the activities. Then declaration and designation that I have already shown to you on the portal, and uh, you have to fill up all those details over there. So the same process that I put over here uh, in a sequential way, so that if it is with you, you can make the registration of the or uploading of the CSR e-form very easily on the portal. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so related to the, you need to upload the documents, then SRN number gets generated, then you create the chalan related to that. After generating the chalan, you can get the acknowledgement specific from the portal, and the final one is that you get the CSR registration number. So these are the aspects where you can get the here additional information of generating the chalan and getting the acknowledgement. Uh, you can put the registration money either by online mode or by putting the amount in the bag with the chalan and putting the TRN number uh, on the portal. So there are the offline and online ways to do that, but it is better that you follow with the online process. Yeah. Next, yeah. So see that one. Uh, Here I put the last 5 years specific comparison of the CSR funds spent by the states, only 5 years. And if you are going to see, I put the sectors accordingly. Education for differently abled and livelihood. This is one of the criteria. Then environment, animal welfare, conservation of resources, the second criteria. Gender equality, women empowerment, old age homes, and reducing inequalities activity. Health, eradicating hunger, poverty, and malnutrition, safe drinking water and sanitation. And other sectors are covering the technology or business incubators and benefit to the armed forces and admin overheads. So, uh, when you are thinking to apply for CSR funding, my request is that you have to look out this data very, very carefully. And second one is that you must be aware with the uh, policy related to that of the CSR funding and the provisions and priority areas decided by the finance ministry. So if it is with you, then uh, you will be in position to apply for the CSR funding for a particular project, which is the basic requirement of spending the amount for the forthcoming year. So what has been done on the past with the priority areas and with the special provisions like to that of the aspirational district, this is one thing. And second thing, whatever the amount has been spent over the particular sector is large, which relate to that of the uh, state, then that is, and it differs from state to state, because if we are going to see the on health uh, in Gujarat, amount is very high. As compared to that in Karnataka, it is very less. And if education and livelihood, if we see, amount shows substantially high as to that of the technology incubation and gender equity. So here is very good opportunity, and that relates with the technology incubation and the specific to that of the various aspects related to that of the woman empowerment and reducing inequalities. So in that way, the analysis of the data with the specific and further micro analysis can be done, so that we will be in position to take the appropriate decision and in position to select the development sectors. And if we align all those things with the Trek Step Journey project, and if we are going to see, there is there are a number of sectors that can be covered with all these aspects. Yeah, next slide, please. So the same one is again with the Kerala and Maharashtra that I put over here. State-wise, uh, the CSO in which state it belongs to. Based upon that, the decision can be taken care of. Next slide, please. So it is about the Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan. Comparative statement or comparative analysis of the state doesn't play in any specific role, but it plays a role how to strategize the development sector for which we need to apply. So it can be considered in this way. Next point, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, now see that one. Here is the listing of top 10 companies. And if we see around 922 crores has been given by the Reliance Industries in last 7 years. Tata Consultancy has given 674. HDFC Bank, Tata Sons, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, Indian Oil, NTPC, Infosys, ITC, and Wipro. So these are the top 10 companies given the CSR during the last 7 years, and that amount is put over here. So why I am putting this slide over here is that uh, if we analyze further data of the Reliance Industries, then then Reliance Industry has given top priority related to the health. Tata Consultancy has given top priority related to that of the livelihoods. Then HDFC Bank gave specific importance to that of the literacy awareness and all those things. So in that way, if we find the specific sector that they have prioritized for CSR funding, it will be very much useful to take it ahead. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, now see that one. Last time, one of the expert has presented the research presented in the webinar about the project management. And one point came out with that discussion, and that point is you develop your proposal at your own, and depending upon the same proposal, the CSR companies should get looked into. So if it is done in this way, then see that one, CSR exchange is one of the very important site of the government of India. And in that portal, you can make the ideation and put the proposal over over this portal. And the funding agencies having top priority that they can get it noticed from the portal, and then exchange of ideas and fund for those ideas can took place. How it took place, that I put it over here in the form of uh, uh, for the corporates and the implementation agencies. As I told you, there are two categories. One is the corporate, of course, who funds or grants for the activity. And CSOs NGOs are having the category of implementation agency. So on the CSR exchange uh, portal, how the activities can go out. So those can be placed over here. See that one. Corporates can create the RFP at the second stage. At the third stage, they get the responses. Then, based upon that, creation of project took place, and then funding is given, and the managing of the project goes with the implementation agency. Whereas at the stage of implementation agency, we can see the RFP, or we can create a project of our ideation. With that ideation, we are interacting to the companies to raise the fund, and based up again upon that, creation of uh, RFF took place, and managing project can be done. It means implementation agency can also further give the funding to the different stakeholders, and that is an another strategic operational innovation that took place over here. So, uh, uh, corporate and implementation agency and the CRS can be innovatively applied uh, in the CSR exchange, which is one of the portal and one of the platform available for both the entities to do the activity related to that of the CSR funds. Yeah, next slide, please. Um, See that one. There are various. Uh, if you have the ATG registration, if you have a 12A registration, then basic mandatory requirements that are complete. On that aspect, if you want to search for the various CSR funds and the good agencies to get the response for the activities, then this is one of the good platform which is also uh, developed by the government of India, India Investment Grid .gov.in. And if we are going in that way, then uh, this uh, this specific portal also gives you the various notes related to that of the trains in India. See that one here specifically. I put the screenshot of the CRS trends in India, and those trends are specifically are in align with the government policies, and accordingly we can uh, put those ideas of the projects in the CSR funding. Yeah, now next. So this is one of the portal which is available to you for uh, getting the exchanges, as well as to get the details, as well as to get connected with the funding agencies. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, the next online platform is also there, which is CSR Box, which also gives the number of resources over the site, and that gives the data related to that of the new floated calls, then what innovators are over there, what the consultancy agencies are there, how we are going to plan the activities, then what are the priority actions required for the state, what is the impact of the work that you did related to that of the various development sectors. So CSR Box is the other platform where you can get, or you may get, updated details related to that of the various calls, as well as the other related resources for it. Yeah, so this is the next platform. Next slide, please. So if we are going to do all the activities related to the CSR funds and registrations and mandatory requirements, these are the uh, important links that I have given over here. If you are uh, browsing all those contents, then you will be in position to make the uh, CSR registration on the portal and also able to avail the various funding opportunities given by the various companies. Uh, One important point that I want to discuss over here is that after registration, if you get the CSR funding, then how to get the uh, how to prepare the reports related to those activities, how you are going to design a proposal for the CSR activity. That is another aspect of uh, this total uh, CSR funding activity. And second, in this webinar, I have given or I remain restricted only with the CSR registration process. But I haven't explored the activity of proposal design because nowadays proposal design needs some sort of thinking processes and uh, creative thinking, then critical thinking, computational thinking, then enterprise resource thinking. So these are the various thought processes needs required to be taken care of while designing the proposal for CSR funding. That is a totally separate subject, but that comes after the registration and CSR registration. So for CSR registrants, what preparation that you want to make, this is one aspect. How we interact with the portals, uh, how the uh, various validations and verifications took place on the portal by the technological process, and how we are in position to get the CSR registrations. I restricted the discussions related to only 4 5 points, with the addition of the giving the few portals which gave you the information about the various opportunities. So this is about the website links. Next one. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I stick up with the time and I covered uh, almost all points related with the trends and the processes. Of course, strategy and innovation design for probable funding for the project preparation to get the CSR fund is a different one. So I stick up with the time and I am very much thankful to all the participants, those who have shown the interest. I am also thankful to Bindu ma'am, Thairajan sir, and all the Tech Step team. So this
Sir,
is yeah,
sir, can we give some time for questions if it is
yeah.
okay for you?
Yes, sir, yeah.
So anybody wants to ask any questions, they can proceed. Dipak ji will be able to respond in Hindi as well as in English.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
So please tell your name and if you got any clarification, you can ask them.
Sir, can I ask not a question but a suggestion?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
Welcome, sir.
Raghu Williamdas from Trivandrum.
Yeah.
You,
Yes,
you are
sir.
mentioning.
He is our Kerala
Yeah.
project coordinator. I think you know well.
Yeah, Raghu sir.
Thank
Hello,
you.
please.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Deepak ji. It was a good presentation, very informative, and you have given the details of how to register for CSR funding and all. As you rightly said, the second part is very important because it's a separate part, how to prepare projects for CSR, because maybe I think most of the organizations, they need more input on how to prepare proposals for CSR funding. That is very important. Maybe in another webinar, TruckStep will take care of that. And of course, we are thankful to you for giving those website links so that we can go through the details of it. Then I have a reservation generally. I have seen that Kerala has having the lowest amount of CSR fund received. At the
But
same,
that,
Maharashtra is high.
that is government data, sir.
But that must be true also.
Yeah. It's no, whatever the data is over there, it is the actual data, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
So
that.
my one reservation, because generally people used to say that the most of these CSR companies, they have their own organizations or NGOs established. Those foundations are implementing those activities. So the company and the CSR activities implementing agency is more or less the same. No, that is the case mostly. So we would like to know which are the potential areas or companies to whom the NGOs can approach. That is also important, even if it is small.
Yeah. My input is like this, sir. Few big companies have their own CSOs or NGOs, but the total number of companies registered under the CSR as a corporate are around 4,059, like that. And out of 4,000, not 100, 4,000 and something else, but out of that, only few, maybe in few hundreds, they have their own foundation. But rest of them, they are giving the funds by floating the calls. And this is one thing. And second thing, how can we get it? How we will be in better judging position? Because on the exchange portal, if you see the calls floated by the corporates from last 6-7 months or maybe within a year, then there is a sufficient potential to get the CSR fund for the grassroots CSOs, because their requirements are that way very low as compared with the metro city CSOs. So that's why there is a good opportunity for grassroots CSOs to tap such type of funds, and calls are ultimately available on the CSR exchange and also the other two portals. So and the whole transparency is put over there, so we can get the information in a better way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So it is in that way.
Sir, if no questions, then we can close down the session, sir. If anybody wants to ask any questions.
There was a question in the chat box which says that generally it's very difficult for new organizations to get CSR. The companies do not respond. Is there any minimum? I think there is 3 years experience which is needed for CSR funding.
My input is that in that case, a collaboration can be done with the established organizations, and the part of the activity can be taken care of. If such collaboration is there, suppose that in Pune there is one organization having 10 years of CSR funding, then a small organization can get collaborated with that organization for initially 3-4 years, and then activities can be taken care of. That can also be possible.
So in case of I think there is no more questions. So we'll wind up the session today, and we'll plan for a more elaborate session on proposal development in the coming weeks. On behalf of TrekStep, we thank you very much for this session, sir.
Thanks to you all also. Thanks, madam. Thank you very much.
Thanks for all for sparing their time. Thank you.